Hey Moline High School, welcome to the school year 2024-25. I am Miss Borman and I will be presenting your social emotional lessons this year. And our lesson today is just kind of an introduction. This is going to be a little bit longer of a video. I got a lot of things to talk about. So just kind of bear with me today. They won't always be this long of a video. So we're going to talk about the counseling department at Moline High School. We're going to talk about what the role is of the counselors. We're going to talk about what social emotional learning is, and we're also going to talk about the cell phone policy. And then at the very end, I have one more activity for just seniors. So seniors, hold out till the end. So first, we're going to talk about the Moline High School Counseling Department and how to contact your counselor. So there is a Google form, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. If I get to the right spot, oh, there it is right there. So this Google form is found in the Google Classroom for your grade level, and it's also posted up around the school. If you want to talk to your counselor, you can use this online in the Google Classroom to click on it for whichever one is your counselor, to go to a Google form to fill out to let your counselor know you want to speak to them, or you can scan it with your phone and they're posted in the hallway. To talk about the grade level classrooms. So there is a grade level classroom for everyone. If you're watching this video by yourself, then you already have found the video in your grade level Google Classroom. But that Google form that we were talking about, Miss Stone posted that. So that link is right there, right on the mainstream of your grade level Google Classroom. Okay, now I'm going to go back to this slide that we were on. So besides using that Google form, you can also email your counselor, and the next slides are going to have all of the counselor emails on there. So and make sure you know who your counselor is. It goes by last name. So here we go. First, we're going to start off with Mrs. Bowser. She is our secretary. So the office is located in the B wing, first floor, past the bookstore. Mrs. Bowser is the first person that you're going to see when you get there, and you need to make sure that you check in with her so that we can account for you being in the counselor's office. Now, you will have Mrs. Schrader if your last name starts with an A through DAI. There is her email and her phone number. This is me, Miss Borman. My last names now are DAJ through HOU. So some of you not freshmen, and sophomore through senior, some of the last names have changed a little bit, so just make sure you're paying attention to who your counselor is. And there is my email and phone. Mrs. Hoffman has HOW through MUK. Mrs. Murphy Flynn now has the last names MUL through SIL. And finally, Miss Stone has the last names SIM through Z. Okay, so let's talk about what we do down here in the counseling office. School counselors are here to help all students in 3 areas: apply academic achievement strategies, manage emotions and apply interpersonal skills, and plan for post-secondary options. So meaning once you graduate from high school, getting a plan in place for what you want to do as an adult. So in the academic and college and career, we can do individual student planning. That's when we do your schedules, your classes, your credits, all that stuff. We can help you set goals for organization, getting to school on time. And in the social emotional world, we do short-term counseling. So like if you're having a bad day, you need some extra support during a hard time, but we also can do referrals for long-term counseling. So therapy that is needed for mental health. We advocate for students and move this over a little bit. Lessons to deliver strategies to all students for academic, college and career, and social emotional success. And that's what these SEL lessons are for. So now we're going to go to what is SEL. So SEL stands for social emotional learning. And these are lessons that can be on any topic that maximize student success and promote access and equity for all students. Academic, college and career, and social emotional concepts. So at Moline High School, we're dedicated to working on students' sense of belonging in the school community. So lessons for first semester, we're going to focus on respect and responsibility, building relationships, empathy, and activities that are going on during first semester. We're also going to use SEL time to complete surveys and do college and career readiness activities. So lessons again will be located in your grade level Google Classroom. Everybody who was here last year, everything's going to kind of run exactly the same as they did last year. Nothing new. So for the freshmen, you just need to get used to that grade level Google Classroom to find all your SEL information there. There will be approximately one lesson every other week, and your teacher will either show the lesson to the whole class or you will be directed to watch the video on your own. Either way, the lessons will always be accessible in your grade level Google Classroom. Those Google Classrooms are also the best way to find information from the counseling department. So if you ever have a question from the counseling department, I would always start off by going to those grade level Google Classrooms and see if there's information in there that can answer your question. Okay, now we're going to go to talking about the responsibility. We're going to start off with some responsibility and talk about the cell phone policy. The policy is actually staying the same from what's always been in the handbook. We're just working really hard at getting that emphasized this year and making sure that we're not using cell phones during instructional time. And responsibility is taking ownership and accountability for your words and actions. It comes in many forms. You have responsibilities at home, school, work, with friends and family, but responsibility also means honoring the policies within school. So I know that having cell phones out is kind of difficult, and I think it makes sense to try to understand why this decision is being made. And just to let you know, it's not just because everybody's trying to be mean and not letting you be on your cell phones. There's been extensive research done to determine the effects of cell phone usage in schools. And the research has shown that there are more harmful effects than positive effects. So we're going to watch a video. I'm going to stop my webcam for a second and we're going to watch this video together.
Order the double cheese and sausage.
Right here, dude.
Ridgemont High's Mr. Hand wasn't the first teacher to deal with distractions, except today, Jeff Spicoli's not the only one losing focus. In fact, a Pew Research survey shows 95% of teens own or have access to a smartphone. Contrast that with a study in the Journal of the American Medical Association. 90% of school principals support restrictions on cell phone use. 80% say cell phones at school have negative effects on academics and social development.
Even if we're not consciously, thinking about our phone while it's there, at some level our brain is essentially having to work not to think about it.
Dr. Lori Cook with the Brain Performance Institute at UT Dallas says research backs it up, the idea that phones can be a big distraction at school. A University of Texas study found evidence that just having a phone nearby, like in a backpack, affected cognitive performance, even if the phone was switched off. Dr. Cook cites several reasons why, like the so-called dopamine addiction from a steady flow of messages and notifications, and the habit of just constantly checking our phones. And then there's FOMO, the fear of missing out, what's happening on our phones without us.
So that was just a quick little video, just kind of talking about some of the reasons why it can be a little harmful. I've noticed that all of those things truly happen. So just kind of looking through these slides. These slides are also available on your Google Classroom if you want to look through it a little bit more, because here's the resource where I found all of this information. So phones can be a distraction. They can affect academic performance because spending more time on apps, games, and social media leads to a decline in engagement on academics, and then that leads to lower grades. Lower grades then leads to stress and anxiety. Sleep is a big one. I've even noticed with myself sometimes that if I'm on my phone too much, the blue light from my phone really helps me fall asleep. And it can also affect your physical health. The mental health, that is a lot of what we deal with down here in the counseling office. When students come down and tell us about how being on the social media platforms or people talking to them or saying things that can contribute to feelings of anxiety, depression, loneliness, and low self-esteem. And excessive phone use also kind of takes away from that face-to-face. I've noticed sometimes that it's harder for kids to talk to adults or to talk to each other one-on-one because they're so used to using their phones. So that's another way that cell phones affect mental health. And again, talking about the face-to-face communication skills. The more you text and use online interactions rather than talking to people face to face, it can really impact how you interact with other people. It's a lot easier to text and to put things online than it is to talk face to face. And we're really losing a lot of those skills. The nonverbal communication, active listening, and social cue interpretation, that's really hard to do when you're online and doing it behind a screen. And kind of going back to what I mentioned before about cyberbullying or people talking about each other, cyberbullying and online safety is a huge, huge issue when it comes to phones. You have the anonymity, meaning you can be whoever you want to be behind a screen and you're not always yourselves. And that distance, makes it so much easier for people to engage in negative behavior. Okay, so those are some of the reasons why we want to try to get away from having phones during instructional time. We really need to work on that this year. And now we're going to talk about 12th graders only. So if you are not in 12th grade, teachers, you can stop the video. 12th grade only. It is time to nominate students for homecoming court. So at this time, you should have received an email regarding nominating seniors for homecoming court. That Google form is now accepting responses starting fourth period today, Wednesday, August 21st. So take a moment to fill that out, the nominating form, and it will close by the end of the school day today. This is only for 12th grade. It will be accepting emails. So they're only gonna be taking nominations from senior students. Okay, that's it. Bye everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you again in 2 weeks.